Welcome to episode 59 of In Touch with the iOS, a podcast that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, and Apple TV and related technologies, plus tips, apps, and gear. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and my guest this week is Chuck Joyner from the Mac Voices podcast. Thanks for coming back, Chuck. How are you tonight?
I'm great, David. It's always a pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, absolutely. We're having a blast here. I can't believe I'm 59 episodes already. I just thought about that. I've been
Congratulations,
cranking along here. Yeah. So this is another episode here. We're going to talk a little bit about the news. There's been quite a bit of news this past week, so we'll have some good discussion about that. And I decided to continue on this series, and we're wrapping up the third in the series here. We started with the iPhone, and we're going to go. We did the iPad. Which ones you should buy? Well, we got the Apple Watch to tackle this time around, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, and a couple tips and see where we're at as far as all that goes. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me.
All right, let's kick right in here. And the first thing I wanted to ask you is, you are so great at going to CES, and then of course the NAB show, which is the National Association of Broadcasters. And I wanted to just kind of ask you briefly what anything that was that stood out and relates to iPhone or iPad or any of the iOS devices at the show this year.
Yeah, David, it's really interesting what's happening. The iPhone and iPad are more and more, so much more,
I love it,
becoming involved in professional video, and I mean professional video.
Right.
I would love to give you a complete rundown of everybody I talked to that had
I can imagine
an iOS thing, but the LumaTouch editor. Or excuse me, the LumaTouch. I have that right. Filmic Pro, of course, the recording app.
Yeah.
At the Faster Together event, I talked to the folks from Apogee, and they were showing several different pieces of hardware and a couple pieces of software that are to give you professional audio and some sophisticated audio tools on iOS. So it's just sort of everywhere, and it's freeing up video production, high quality video production. And of course, so we don't have the lenses, but you've got 4K cameras. Oh, and I know, my gosh, what's wrong with me? I forgot. Switcher Studio and Cinemaker, both are live production tools that utilize an iPad and iPhone cameras to do multi-camera shoots. It's so much. So as big as NAB is, and of course as focused as it is on broadcasting,
right,
this stuff is making its way in, and so many sophisticated features are coming down into the devices that you and I carry around every day.
Yeah, and I figure as much, and it's exciting to hear, just because the iPhone has just an incredible camera. It really does. And you hear all these filmmakers to start talking about that they use this camera for their production to actually film movies, film shows. I'm sure you talked to a few people that do that, I bet, huh?
I had quite a discussion with the Filmic people, talking about some of the people that they have using their app to shoot Hollywood style movies. And I don't even know what that means anymore, but
but they are.
It's just to that point.
I mean, we just talked about. I just got a new camera that obviously we won't see it because we're not doing a video. But this is an HD camera, and this is the Logitech C930E camera, but it's still only HD. I mean, you go to the next level up on Logitech, you're spending $200 for a webcam that's 4K and 4K video. It is crazy. I mean, I know we're there with 4K, but because the iPhone takes 4K videos, but it's still gosh. So unless you're doing some pretty insane video production, 4K is a lot.
Well, it is, and to be fair, the services that you and I use to record our shows and watch each other while we're recording this show. Right. They don't support 4K. So you've got this beautiful 4K camera that is being squeezed down to 720.
Exactly.
And so, you can really tell a difference if I take I take my iPad to the show and shoot everything in 4K. And so it's much clearer than you and I can deliver here.
True.
But think what it was 4 or 5 years ago when we were delivering standard definition. So it just, if it's not here yet, just give it about a year, and it'll be here.
Oh yeah, it's going to be here. So let's anything else you thought you could think of that really stood out? I think we pretty much covered what NAB had and relates to iPhone or iPad.
Yeah, I would tell anybody though, if you are interested in video production, whether you're using an iPhone or a Red camera, it is a great event to go to.
Yeah.
Not just the toy store aspect of it, because it is a big toy store, and I suggest you leave your credit card at home.
Yeah.
But the training that you can get and the opportunity to interact with so many people that are actually out there doing this stuff is just phenomenal. So if you have an interest in it, and it's Vegas, so how can you go wrong?
Can't go wrong with Vegas. Who knows? This might be, since I couldn't make CES, this could be the show I might try to make next year, because I don't think I'll have too much of a problem getting a pass at the NAB's show.
Yeah, so. Yeah. But again, leave your credit card at home.
I will leave my credit card at home because I will be already more broke than I already am. So, speaking of new technologies, let's jump into some of the news that caught my eye. There was an article in The Verge, actually was today as we record this. AT&T CEO says 5G phone plans might be tiered and priced based on data speeds. Boy, are we back to that again? That was the way it was many years ago until we got the unlimited services that were available. So if you go through the article, he's actually talking about their actual 5G network, which is not the carrier's misleading 5GE nonsense, as the article says. It's currently live in 19 markets, some of the bigger markets, and it should be making its way onto other phones like the Samsung's S10 Galaxy, and there's been periods of time where it's been on AT&T, and then it moves to Verizon, and I'd be interested to see where this goes, especially with carriers like T-Mobile who have unlimited everything plans. What do you think of 5G and think where we're at on this?
I don't know. I mean, unfortunately, the big phone companies have a bit of a history of trying to charge for things that based on perception. And now this one's not going to be quite perception, but I do have to wonder what their competitors will do, because if they all start trying to do this, well, then are we into a collusion situation? Right. And that is pure speculation on my part, folks. So that's not an accusation, but it's just, what you would almost have to conclude.
Yeah.
But this is one of those things. Whenever anybody says might or could or maybe, I try to skip over those. Yeah, because when it happens, then we'll deal with it.
Although they did quote the CEO of AT&T, but I got some bitterness to AT&T lately. I've been not happy. That's why I walked away and went to T-Mobile. So, but it should be interesting to see how this 5G pans out. I mean, still waiting to see potentially with the Sprint and T-Mobile merger. I know that's going through some rocky hurdles, so we'll see where that goes. But 5G is going to be here before you know it, and more speeds to deal with. But I think our phones are pretty gosh darn fast right now as they are. So, but it just keeps evolving.
You always want more speed, David. Come on.
I do. That's why I have gigabit Ethernet that we're talking on right now here at home. So I got to have it. So, and as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we're gonna talk about which Apple Watch you should buy. But how ironic! I just realized it today as we were recording this today. Happy birthday to the Apple Watch. It was 4 years ago today, as we record this on April 24th, that the original Apple Watch launched in 9 countries around the world, and now 4 years later, we are in the 4th iteration of it already. So they've come out with 4 models of this watch since then, and it's just incrediable. I mean, and the device is just continued to evolve. The Series 4 is just an amazing device. If I remember correctly, the Series 0, which was the first model, had the gold $17,000 watch. That was pretty short lived. What do you think? I mean, I love the watch. I know you do too.
I think you've hit the right word. It's an evolution, not just of the device itself, but also of the perception of the device, and what it represents. I mean, you and I bought it because it was a piece of tech that we were really interested in.
Right.
Angela Ahrendts would have us believe that they were trying to sell it on the basis of being a piece of jewelry.
Right.
And we all, as tech people, kind of laughed at that and said, come on. I mean, there's going to be a new model next year. There was. I don't know what happened to those gold watches. I don't know how many of them they sold. I can't believe they sold many.
I think a lot of the celebrities and obviously the very wealthy had said, look, the status symbol. I have an Apple Watch that's gold, and now look, who's laughing now because that watch is now obsolete. So
right. Well, and then there was the ceramic case,
right,
if you remember,
and they took that away too.
That kind of fell apart again because of the extra high price. I mean, and it's for a watch. It's for the oh boy. There are expensive watches, okay, and
of course.
I've never been an expensive watch guy, but for this, this is a little bit high for the average person, but maybe not for the tech people. But it just has continued to evolve, and its functionality has continued to evolve.
Has. Yeah, and it'll continue to evolve. In the article, we're linking in Mac Rumors. Of course, they're probably already talking about the Series 5 model that'll be coming out in probably around September of this year. That's the rumor anyway. But from what they're saying in the Series 5, it could be just a minor update. From the 3 to the 4 was pretty big, especially with the ECG. We'll talk about stuff in a bit here, but it's 4 years. Time is just flying by here, and our devices continue to evolve, and they really are get to be exciting. I'd say.
Yeah, when you told me that, I was kind of shocked. It's like 4 years already.
Yeah, I know.
It makes sense. Yes, this is the Series 4 watch, but I just can't. I've been carrying this on my arm for 4 years.
I think the first year of MacStock, we'll talk about that later. That I had the watch right away, and we started talking about it right then and there too. So that was 4 years ago, going on 5 years ago now. So, yeah. And then another story that caught my eye from. About the Apple Watch. This actually, I linked this to the guys at Mac Stories, Federico and Vitici. Apple. I'm sorry, this was the wrong article. If I would click the right one here, I'll go back to that. I think here we go. This was on Apple Insider. We'll come back to that other article. A surfer retrieves his working Apple Watch 6 months after losing it in the ocean. I'm like, really? So. Basically, the article says a man from Huntington Beach, California, has recovered his Apple Watch that he had lost surfing on the Pacific Ocean 6 months ago, and it still works. I can't believe that for one bit, but it's true. He says this. The guy says that the thing has been my good luck charm. I would use it quite often to show the surf and how fast he was going, even where he was on the beach. So he had the watch and lost it and was bummed, and I probably would have been bummed and just kind of written it off and bought another one. But sure enough, he found it, and isn't it remarkable?
Yeah, I mean, that talk about a needle in a haystack, and the fact that it's still working too. I mean, that's
And this was in Huntington Beach, California, so that's not exactly a small area. Not that the ocean itself is vast. Who knows where it would float away to? And then they talked about lost mode because he put the watch in lost mode when he locks the Apple device, and of course it would let someone assign a phone number to his watch on the screen and message anyone who finds it. I can't believe the battery still lasted all that time, all the salt water from the ocean. But you got to remember that Apple does say that this is a water resistant watch, and you can go. I think 9 meters. I think you can go in water while you're swimming. I believe it is.
I think that sounds right.
So,
and it gives a new meaning to low power mode.
It does. It does. So that was. I thought that was quite interesting. So now let's go to the article that I was supposed to click here. This is on Mac Stories, not that from Federico and crew. Apple launches a dedicated YouTube channel for Apple TV. I talked about the YouTube channel for the Apple support. On YouTube, and it's interesting to see that Apple has really embraced YouTube because they're doing a lot of things and being able to talk about things that are out there about Apple and realizing how big YouTube really is. And as well as we both know, we both publish our podcasts on YouTube, and it really has a lot of eyes out there. So over the last few weeks, Apple just quietly debuted a new YouTube channel that's dedicated to one of its services, the Apple TV. So of course, Apple announced last month that they're going to have the Apple TV Plus services with the shows and the behind-the-scenes clips and all that stuff, and the carpool karaoke and all the stuff they have their content. So obviously what it's going to be is it's going to be a video of different channels of the different things that they're going to be showing. One of the interesting ones it mentions is watching trailers like the upcoming films like Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Did you see that trailer?
I did.
Oh my god, that I'm too excited. I can't wait. I can't wait for that to come out. It's Christmas time. So, but what do you think of this? I mean, what do you think Apple just using YouTube as a tool like this?
I think it's. I mean, I think it's perfect. I think that for the very same reasons that you and I publish on there, is that's where the traffic is.
It is,
and so if people want information on Apple or Apple products, and they can add something of value there, which Apple has a tendency to do that, no matter where they go. If they're going to take over something. Not take over, sorry, but if they're going to contribute to something like a YouTube, they're going to use it to best advantage. And we kind of go back to the very first part of the discussion,
right?
With the iOS devices becoming more and more important in the video realm, why wouldn't you play on the biggest video channel out there?
Might as well. Yeah. And I think support is smart, and they publish all of their advertising, their videos, because everybody loves the Apple ads that are released, so they get to watch those too. So why not? They might as well advertise and talk about the upcoming TV Plus service that's coming out. And shows are going to be interesting. What did you think? I mean, the three announcements, we hadn't talked about it. The TV Plus app and the TV Plus content. It seems interesting. I don't know.
Well, I so much of it to me, I think they have the chance to tell some great stories. I think the question is going to be, are they the kind of stories that the public wants to see? Apple is trying to, seemingly, we don't know because the shows aren't out yet, but it seems like they're going to try to go something a bit more family friendly.
Yeah,
and that's great, but it feels like in the world we live in today, and the kind of entertainment people like to consume, that is going to limit them a little bit.
Right.
And so if the stories are high enough quality, then you may pull in even someone who likes explosions and things, cars wrecking and all, you may be able to get something. And if you have comedy that is sophisticated enough, maybe you'll pull in that audience. So
yeah.
I think we just have to wait and see how it all plays out.
Just like it is, rumors. But at least we know it's fact because Apple does have some content out there already. So check it out. We have a link in the show notes with an article about that. A couple iOS 13 articles that kind of caught my eye. That, of course, already I can't believe we're talking about iOS 13 coming here. We're on iOS 12, and it's every year. It's the next version of the iteration of iOS here. First one was iOS 13. This is in The Verge. iOS 13 will let apps like Lightroom access photos directly from external storage, report claims. And it says the iPad Pro will get a bit more professional. So apparently they're talking about Apple and iOS 13 will let third-party apps import these photos directly from an external storage device. And I believe apps never were able to do that before. It's always going to be either through the Files app or it would sync somewhere. But Apple had previously released a Siri shortcut to automate the process, but they're saying a new feature can make it unnecessary with the USB-C tablet aimed at professionals. So there's a lot of interesting discussion about this. What do you think how this is going to work out for photographers?
Well, okay. So first of all, let's make clear that this is not an official.
It's a rumor. It's rumor.
It's another one of those. That said, it's something that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Because of the size of some of the photos that these folks are and what they're shooting them with, and the fact that the iPads went to USB-C, which makes them a lot easier to connect to mass storage devices.
Correct.
So it would be sort of a surprise to me if they couldn't or didn't do something like this by hook or by crook to let folks access, especially things like photos on external storage devices.
Absolutely. Again, it's rumor. It caught my eye. Talk back with us in June when we're covering worldwide the WWDC conference, when they actually announce it and they finally give us some ideas of what's going to be happening. Because I know last year around this time they announced that Photoshop and it was going to have more native adjustments and settings. I know that was going to get released, and the Pro was going to be able to adapt to that too. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where things go. But caught my eye. I thought it'd be interesting. It would be interesting discussion. One other quick one I would talk about with iOS 13. There was a that we had asked you to have a discussion this podcast I was just on, Mac to the Future Go, but iOS 13 could allow iPads to actually turn into real laptop replacements because they could potentially allow a mouse. And again, this is rumor. This was in laptopmag.com. What would they do to allow a mouse to work? I mean, will there be a cursor? That's going to be interesting thoughts. We had interesting discussion about it. But I think again, it's still pure rumor.
This again is one of those things. Now it's fascinating. We've seen people try to take their iPads and turn them into desktop replacements.
Right.
Now they want to take the iPad and put a mouse on it. And it's like, guys, could you just please accept the device for what it is?
Right.
And if it doesn't suit you, then take a laptop.
Yeah.
But I really don't get this because there is no cursor in iOS.
Yep.
So are you going to have to run some kind of software layer on top of it, on top of everything?
Or is iOS 13 going to do it? Yeah, that's the question too.
And and if they go that direction, okay, I will be very interested to see how and why they implement that.
Yeah.
I just am having a hard time buying this one.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's much else we could talk about with relates to that. So, two more stories. Just a public service announcement here. Did you sign up for the news app for the trial?
I did.
Okay, so starting tomorrow, if you don't want to keep subscribing to it, you have to cancel, or Apple is going to be charging you the $9.99. I think I'm going to stick with it. I'm not looking to go away from it anytime soon. What were your thoughts on it? Do you think was it worth it? So far, I know it's got some growing pains.
Yeah, but I have to tell you, David, I was kind of surprised because I've gotten away from being a news junkie just because of all the noise that's out there. And
True.
I really have been enjoying Apple News and the way it's curated, the way it's presented. So I canceled my subscription, which sounds contrary to what I was just saying.
Sure.
But now I'm anxious to see if I will miss it because it's become part of my daily routine in reviewing it. And so now I want to see was it because it was there, or is it really something that I found useful?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go back to my RSS feeds and see if they satisfy me. And if not, well,
you can always go back.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I gave a tip last, I believe it was our last episode, on the way to get around the fact that some content that the Wall Street Journal doesn't show in the feed. Because a lot of times, you go to their website because they still want you to pay for their subscription. There's no doubt about it, but they are allowing some of the content on there. But what you can do is you can open up the Wall Street Journal on their website, and if it's asking for a password or asking to go through the paywall, you just click the up arrow going to the style sheet, and then you say open in news, and then once you open that article in news, you can read it. So we found a little bit of a workaround to being able to read the Wall Street Journal beyond what the content they show. So, but that's that said, if you don't want to keep it, today is the 24th as we record this. Tomorrow is the 25th. You'll be charged $9.99, and so be it, right?
And and again, I mean, it's one of those things. You think about what we all used to spend for magazines and newspapers,
right?
And I'm not suggesting that you don't continue to save the money and read things online, but on the other hand, Apple does seem to be trying to add value and succeeding at some level. It just depends on whether that is something that you do value.
Absolutely. All right, last story, I promise. And this was an interesting story because Google has the Google Fit app, and they only had it on Android. Well, they just released it today as we record this. It's launched on the iPhone with Apple Health and Apple Watch integration, which is interesting. So the fitness tracking app can be used to track workout sessions completed with both an Apple Watch or a Wear OS smartwatch, which is their version of the smartwatch. And also integrates movement data from apps connected from Apple Health, such as Sleep Cycle, Nike Run, and Headspace. So they really have come a long way, and they've integrated this with iOS, which is pretty interesting. What did you think on this?
Fitbit is still out there and still going strong, but Apple Watch is, I venture to say, and I have nothing official to back this up, but it's second, if not number one, depending on how you slice the statistics. So it just would make sense that they're going to put it on there.
Yeah.
But I have to point out that now you're putting Google on your wrist.
Yes, you are. And
is this a good thing?
And their privacy settings. So you have to think about that too. So proceed with caution. It is a free download. What a surprise! And but check that out, because you want to make sure, take a look at their privacy settings on this, because you don't know, it could not be as private as you really think it is. If you don't want people to be looking at your health information.
Well, not just that, David, but and I have not looked at it. I want to be fair about that.
Sure.
But you're putting something on your body that goes with you everywhere,
right?
And so, are they tracking you wherever you go?
Hard to say.
So, just something to think about, folks. Something to think about.
Absolutely. So that's some of the news that caught my eye and caught our eyes. I wanted to talk about a little bit. So let's go dig right into the topic of the show this week. I wanted to talk about buying an Apple Watch. What would you do? What would you choose? And how? What is the right Apple Watch for your needs? So what I wanted to really do is I wanted to just kind of dig in and talk about what watches are out there. You have the Series 4, like I do. Is that correct, Chuck?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
And then you had, did you have, what ones did you have prior to that? I ashamed to admit, I pretty much have had every model. So
don't be ashamed, because I did too.
Okay, so you went 0, 1, 2, 3, and then
4.
Okay. Yeah. So that means you're hearing it first from us, that we both have expertise in this, in this, as far as what watch we liked, what watch we didn't like, and what to buy now. So what the current models that are out there now is, you have the Apple Watch Series 4 and you have the Apple Watch Series 3. Now the Series 3, actually, I just saw today, I believe Best Buy was selling it for $199. That's like the cheapest I've ever seen an Apple Watch, and especially one that's a current model, because they're still making it. So, but to break down the models that are out there as far as the Apple Watch Series 4 goes, you basically have 4 or 5 different models that are across the line. You have the Series 4, which is the standard one, which I purchased, and that's got the GPS or the GPS and cellular, and that's consistent with a lot of these models. And then you have the Apple Watch Nike Plus, which has the Nike Plus Workout Edition with all the workout stuff that's included beyond what it already gives you. And then again, like I said, you have both the GPS version, and you have the GPS and cellular. And then, of course, if you want to spend a little extra money, you can get the Apple Watch, the Hermes edition, which is, of course, that beautiful band that costs a ridiculous amount of money, and I don't feel any need to purchase that. Would you agree?
Well, yeah. For me, I mean, there are people that, again, we're back to what people value. Some people value that kind of thing.
I'll mention one of our friends, Barry Folk. Yeah, Barry.
There's a surprise.
He has a Hermes band. I know that. And at least I didn't see it. I'm wearing it the last time I saw him, because, of course, he has to have bands that are 2 different colors, and that's stylish now, right? And of course, it requires you to buy 2 bands in order to do that. But that's what's great about the Apple Watch. You can really customize it the way you want. What the Series 4, they made it a much larger display from the Series 3. And of course, it's got the haptic feedback with the digital crown. And it's got the S4 system in package, so it gives you some really good, accurate speed. The speaker, did you think the speaker was much louder than the previous models?
Definitely. Most definitely. It was one of the biggest surprises for me of that watch.
Yeah, so I was very happy with that. They also included, of course, the ECG app and the electric heart sensor. Excuse me, and and then that's open in the United States. I'm not sure other countries, as anybody who listens outside the United States, if that's applicable as of yet, but measures your heart rate and tells you if you have AFib or not. I'll talk about that in a little bit. And with that optical heart sensor, those are all standard across all the models in the Series 4. As I said, you have 2 models that are cellular, and I've given my opinion about cellular before. I don't find cellular to be of any value. You're spending another $150 for this watch, and do I really want to have my cellular service separate on my watch and have to pay another $10 or $15 a month for it? In my opinion, no. I always have my phone with me. Do you have the cellular?
No, I don't, and I agree. I agree with everything you said, except that I can understand there could be some circumstances, some situations
Yeah.
for folks who might have a little trouble getting around or something like that, or that have health issues that
Sure.
they can't afford not to have access to a phone. And in that case, then absolutely cheap insurance against something bad happening. But for most folks, I'm like you. I've got my phone with
Right.
me or very close by at all times. So no,
Absolutely.
didn't do that.
So, and then you keep going down the line here. The GPS and altimeter is standard on across all the models. It is swim proof. I believe you can go down to 9 meters. I still am nervous using my Apple Watch in the water. Honestly, I know you can, but I don't know I don't know if you swim or not. But I don't know if you've ever put it in the water or not. I'm a little nervous.
No, I've not. I mean, I know that they made a big deal out of the fact you can shower with it. You're certainly not down at 9 meters in the shower, but
Right.
it's still, I guess it's the ingrained training we've had with electronics since we were kids that, electronics and water don't mix. And so.
Yeah, exactly. Another note of the cellular version that Apple does spout out the fact that you can stream Apple Music and Apple Podcasts and not have to have your phone with you. My iPhone is my leash. I don't think there's any rare time I ever have not have my iPhone with me. So that's why, to me, it's not of any value to have this version. But like you said, there are some people who may not want to bring their own phone with them, and then they can be independent and just have the Apple Watch and be able to listen to music and use their AirPods and use it as an independent device.
And again, I think it's whatever fits you. I mean, you have to figure out.
Right.
And if you're just buying an Apple Watch for the first time, then it's maybe a little bit difficult. But up to this point, you probably have a pretty good idea of the things you like to do with your watch or can do with your watch.
Right.
And so buy what fits you. And, it's because it's not the financial difference, except for that monthly cellular bill, is not that much if it's something you really use.
True. So and then if you go down the line and look at the Series 3 watches, might be more affordable. I mean, like I said, you just hit the nail on the head about pricing. Base price now on Apple Watch is anywhere between $199 and $229, whereas a Series 4 starts right around $399 and up, and can be very expensive. So you may not have the budget for it, and you may be just perfectly satisfied as far as the Apple Watch Series 3. Series 3 has an S3 dual-core processor, so it is a little slower processor, which you probably won't notice much. It still has the optical heart sensor, so it does do some it does heart rate measurements and things like that, but not anywhere near what the ECG does. You have the cellular option as well as the GPS option. They're also swim-proof, so that hasn't changed as well. And then the two models that are in the Series 3 are this aluminum case with the sports band, or aluminum case with the Nike sports band. So they limit it down to different models as far as what those go. So, but you know what, the Series 3 model was pretty good, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're all fine models. It just, again, some have more features, and the only thing, I guess, my theory on a lot of these kind of electronics, I mean, there's a breaking point, obviously, but I think the higher on the chain you can buy, the longer you have the opportunity to be satisfied with it when the next one comes out, because there's a next one coming. We both know it. We just don't know what the feature set will be.
Correct. And
if you decide that, boy, I really want that new one because of that feature set, your resale value is going to be higher. So
this is true. Yeah, and I've sold off all my watches. I think when I traded in the Series 3 to Apple, actually they gave me $279 for it, and I traded it into Apple directly. So that was a good price when the Series 4 came out. So I was pretty happy with that. So
yeah,
easy to do. So, but the biggest thing with the Apple Watch, and a lot of people like to use it for, is workouts and being able to stay fit, watching your steps. Do you measure your steps, and do you measure those kind of things while you're using the watch at all? Or
I mean, yes, it's tracking it for me. I go through periods where I'm religious about looking at it and paying attention to it, and then life gets busy. Like you go to NAB and you do
lots of steps during that time.
And so you don't feel the need to check it because you know that you're blowing your step count away. Yeah. So it's one of those things that I have never become a slave to it, but it's there and it's nice to know. And sometimes it's a good wake up call that maybe I have been a little too sedentary and need to up my game a bit.
Yeah. So they have the proactive health monitor that's got and it really is an ultimate workout partner. So you really have good options as far as easy ways to track everything, whether it be your heart rate, how much you're working out. You want to close your rings. They even you can set up competitions. You compete with your friends, being able to see if you got your steps in more than that person does. I've done that many times, so it's fun. So, but that's really, I mean, what stands out with the watch. The apps themselves, there's a lot of great apps available on the watch that you can utilize. I've always been pretty satisfied with. I mean, listening to a podcast is pretty awesome in itself. Checking your email is very simple. I did a presentation on being efficient by using an Apple Watch and see if you could get away with not using your iPhone. So the Messages app works really well. The email is perfectly fine for the most part if you just need to do some quick responses. Have you done a lot of those things with email and Messages?
Not as much email, but Messages, absolutely. I mean, I find that to be one of the compelling uses of the watch is knowing when messages come in and being able to respond to them either with an emoji or a voice response. That particular feature has not the voice response, but just the whole Messages on my wrist thing has been one of the things that sold it for me from day one.
No, absolutely, and that worked really well. I talked about calendar a little bit. It's nice to have your calendar, just a quick way of looking at your calendar right on your watch. The watch faces. I mean, we could probably spend an hour all by itself just going over all the different features of what the watch can do. My favorite watch face is actually the analog, the latest one they did with the analog hand watch is the infograph. What is your favorite?
I'm looking at the infograph right now. Yeah. But I've always been one that, the more information I can pack onto that face, the better I like it.
Yeah, me too. And that's what I've done is I've got the workout rings on one corner. I've got Apple stock. I'm always watching Apple stock on the top left. Then I have my Messages on the top right, and then I have the timer, which you probably use quite a bit to time things. So it's on the bottom right, and you just tap it, and you could start a timer real quickly. But you could add any app you want that makes that would make your life easy. It also has a walkie-talkie feature where you actually can talk two-way with people. Have you used the walkie-talkie feature at all?
I've experimented with it, but I haven't. That's a regular use thing.
Yeah, same here. I played with it. We had fun with it a little bit, and it's like this wasn't too exciting. I just remember the days of those old Next telephones, and you'd hear it, chirp, chirp. And that's kind of what it is. But it does come in handy at times if you were to talk with the walkie-talkie. So, and listening to music, of course, is a great thing. One of the cool thing with the watch too is, I don't know if you've ever used it before, is you actually can use it as a remote control for your iPhone. If you have your iPhone on a tripod and you want to be able to trigger it instead of having to set a self-timer, nifty way you can be reaching down below you and it's like, hey, say cheese, and then you can take the picture.
Oh, it is so much. Listen, that is so much better than trying to set the timer and then run around and
run.
get in your spot and pose and smile. You just reach down and tap it, and then you're in your pose, and all you have to do is just move your hand a little bit, and it'll use the timer there too, so you have a chance to get in the proper position. But yeah, that's absolutely one that I've used on a regular.
Yeah. So, and then there's bands. How many bands do you own?
I'm going to disappoint you, David. I own exactly 3.
Oh, okay. So you're not as bad as me. I should.
No, and the thing is, I've 2 of them. One of them has never been worn. I bought it because it was a 2-for-1 deal. But my everyday band is the same one that I bought with the original Apple Watch, and that is the black magnetic closure.
Okay. Oh, so you've got. Oh, but that wasn't the magnetic one. There was black. There was a black one.
There was way back when they first came out, and it was obscenely priced. But I tell you what, it has held up well. It still does great, and it's the most comfortable band I wear because if I want to pull it down tight, it'll stay tight. If I want to loosen it up, I can loosen it up. And so I bought as they came up. Actually, the other 2 are third-party bands. They're the same closure, just one is red and one is blue.
Well, I'm holding up all the bands I have here. You can see.
Oh my God, David!
this is how insane I am. There must be about 10 here.
There's a down payment on a house in that.
It really is. There's at least
there.
I got to have the Nike one, then I have the black one, and of course I have being a Chicago Cubs fan. The MLB, of course, has to jump on that bandwagon. You have the cloth ones. And my two favorites are the black band is I just put that on back recently. Then the sports wrap band where it loops through. It's a full loop, similar to the Milanese band, which I just found. Of course, I had the cheap one, but then when I saw Best Buy was selling it for $98, which the original price was $149, I had to buy the Milanese, silver one. So now I have the real one instead of the fake one. So.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, again, if it makes you happy, that's
the thing with bands. That's what's cool about it. You can get whatever bands you'd like, and it makes it stylish however you so choose. The other thing I didn't really hit about too is the size of the screen. So you go with a 44 millimeter now and a 42 millimeter. Do you have the 44?
I have the 44.
Yeah, I like the bigger face because I'm a big guy. I want to have a bigger face because I look at that smaller face. My wife has the 42, and it's too small.
Well, I don't have a particularly big wrist at that particular area, but even so, I still went with the 42 and
44
or 44, excuse me. And after about 12 hours, it's like I didn't even think about it anymore. It's like, okay, that screen is so big and beautiful, and as you said, with the infograph, I mean, it's just impossible to beat.
It really is. So and kind of a wrap up here about the Apple Watch. Of course, there's accessories you could buy too. I got the nightstand charger. Do you have a stand? How do you charge your watch? You have just the standard cord or?
Standard cord. I believe the one I got was again from way back. Spigen.
Okay.
He took the original cord, and it's a nice little thing that is elevated. And I don't know how you charge your watch, but mine goes on the charger every morning when I get in the shower, and comes off, and that. At a time while I'm in the shower and get dressed, takes my charge back up the whole way, and I'm fine for a day and a half to.
Okay. And I have the magnetic charging dock, of course, but I got that for Christmas, and that sits on my nightstand, and I set it sideways and charges at night, and then I have the clock right there too.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, always ways to accessorize the watch. Let me go over a little bit about pricing with the current models, and also I'll touch a little bit about the ECG. So the Apple Watch Series 4, I believe, starts at $399, if I'm not mistaken. It does, and that's the basic model. That's the 42 millimeter. So that's what they start the pricing at, and then you could buy different models based on the band too. So if you decide you want to buy the one with the white sports band or the black sports band or the pink sand, which of course girls like that mostly, and then you have the sports loop, which is the one my second favorite band. You have those options, and then you move up into the 44 millimeter size, and that brings the price up about $30. Brings it to $429. If you have the cellular version of it, it starts at $499. So then you're going all the way up to over $500 with if you want the 44 millimeter. So it can be a little pricey. So if you're deciding on this on the Apple Watch Series 4, you really got to decide what's important to you when it comes to that. The Series 3 be much cheaper. You start, I believe, around I think it was like $259. Let me pull up let's see where they have the Series 3 here. Got to go onto their page here, but that one, so even if you look at the ones that have the it's the stainless steel case, and you have a Hermes band. Yeah, you're talking about $1,400 for a watch. I don't know if that would be in your realm of wanting to purchase.
Well, but let's keep in mind too that a big chunk of that is for the band, so it's transferable. So
yeah, true.
Maybe that'll make you feel a little better.
Yeah, but it's got the stainless steel casing instead of it's stainless steel, and what was the other ones? Well, they're stainless steel too. Yeah, it's just the bands. That's really what you're paying for. Crazy, charging that kind of money for a band, huh?
Well, that's style for you.
So, and I believe the pricing on the Apple Watch Series 3 will start around $229, $249, and then like I said, always shop around. You'll be able to find them the least expensive one at right around I thought it was $199. So, and that's it. So, which watch should you buy? Well, like we said, it's really the one that you have to choose that's best for you. I think the Apple Watch Series 4 has got a lot of bang for its buck. The biggest thing, which I wanted to talk about briefly, is the ECG. Now, the ECG is a electronic cardiograph and allows you to be able to touch the stem, and it actually measures your heart rate. And it actually has it in such a way where it measures it and it tells you everything looks good and you don't have AFib, which is, if anybody knows what AFib is, it's your heart skipping a beat. Now, I did an interesting test. I won't say who it was that I did it with, but I put a watch on someone else that I thought I knew had AFib. I wanted to see if it actually works, and it did. It said he has AFib. I mean, wow. He's taking medicine for it, and they're taking care of that. But I saw it firsthand. It does work, and it's crazy. The other thing I didn't mention too is the fall sensor. Interesting, when you put the information in your in the watch app for the first time, and you say how old you are, and if it's anybody that's over the age of 65, and look at that, it already started talking there. It automatically turns on the fall sensor. So of course, someone fell, not realizing that it was turned on, and it warned them. If anybody knows what the fall sensor does, it senses that you've fallen. If you fall into the ground, and it sends it by force of seeing how much the actual shake happened. So when you hit the ground, they say, "Are you okay?" And like you just heard my watch talk to me, it tells you that are you okay? Do I need to call 911? And if you don't respond to the watch at a period of time, it's going to call 911 automatically. So it has happened to a few people. I don't know if you've ever heard of anything relates to that.
Not specifically. I mean, I know that there have been stories reported about those kind of things, but no personal experience, happily.
Yeah. So, but check it out, and I'll have links in the show notes about what the Apple Watch, where to go, and I hope that this kind of gave you a good comprehensive understanding of what the result is about the Apple Watch. And you notice that we don't talk a lot about the Apple Watch. We always talk more so about the iPad or the iPhone. So it's good to kind of give you a little bit of a review, so people have some ways of understanding the best way to make a wise choice when it comes to Apple Watch. So
well, you forget that there's so many options, David. I think you did a great job of sort of reviewing all the options and all the considerations. Because sure, you can just pop out to an Apple store or any other store and buy an Apple Watch, but if you really want to think about all the things and all the options that you can do with it, you gotta do just a little research.
And both of us will definitely recommend the Apple Watch Series 4. So you got recommended, and I assume you recommend it as well.
Oh yeah, no question. Question.
I think it was. I'm glad I purchased it. So I'm very happy with it. So, with that, we ran a little long here, so I had a couple tips on here, but I'm going to probably save those for next week, because I wanted to talk a little bit about MacStock. Now, you and I both are speaking now for a 5th year, which I'm very excited about. I assume you are.
I am. I'm absolutely looking forward to it, as I have since day one.
Yeah, me as well. So, briefly, what I'll say is we have links in the show notes to how to get to MacStock. I don't talk too much about it because I have talked a lot about it, but I want to tell people it's a great conference, a great show. Want you to come out to MacStock this year. It's July 27th and 28th in Woodstock, Illinois, which is just outside of Chicago, where I'm located, and a lot of people are traveling from all over the world to come see it, and we've got a lot of great speakers, including myself and Chuck and Allison Sheridan, and David Sparks from the Mac Power Users podcast is going to be there, and he's also going to record his 500th episode. Guy Searle, who was just on the show, they're going to be on there doing the mymac.com podcast and talking about doing the quiz show like they did last time. A lot of fun. Barry's the Mac Mingle. We'll have a lot of fun there during the Saturday night sessions, and it's a two full days conference, and it's such a bargain. But the early bird's pricing is going to be going away very soon here at the end of April. Right now, it's at $179 for 2 days. I mean, you think about that. That's just a bargain compared to a lot of the shows that you go out to see. But if you use my offer code, which is intouch, you'll save $10 off of that price, and you'll be able to come out and see us for $10 less than what the early bird pricing is. Again, go to macstock2019.com, check it out, and we would love to have you. And it would be another great way to being able to meet up with a lot of people and network. And once you agree, the networking part is just the best with Macstock.
Everything about Macstock, David, is spectacular. And the price for what you get is genuinely amazing. I don't know how Mike does it.
I don't either.
But you get great speakers. You get a lot of fun people. You have a couple great lunches.
Yep.
You have Barry's Midwest Mac Mingle. I mean, we can just go right. Yeah, you can go right down the list, but you'll be hard pressed to find a more fun weekend if you're an Apple tech person than Macstock. Period.
It's cozy, fun. Come on, see us. Macstock2019.com. The link will be in the show notes, and like I said, use my offer code INTOUCH at the checkout. $10 off your early bird price. With that, let's kind of wrap things up. Chuck, how do people find you, and what have you been doing these days on your show?
Well, we started out by talking about NAB. If you go over to macvoices.com, I'm still, after this show, I'll be editing and releasing more interviews that I did at the show, on the show floor, and at the Faster Together event, talking about just about anything that's struck me as interesting. And certainly there's a lot of iOS stuff in there. There's a lot of Mac stuff in there. And there's some just general interest things as well. So
a lot of great stuff.
And check it out.
Check out his show. He's been just started the road to Macstock, and you'll get to hear some interviews, and including myself and the rest of the speakers. So make sure you're checking that out as well. He had some great videos on CES, and just check it out. Macvoices.com. It's a great place. You were telling everybody that, and I have to repeat it here. So, yeah, please check him out, and a lot of great stuff. And I really appreciate you being here. Let's just wrap this up here, and then that's a wrap for this week. Please send in your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter @intouchwithios. You can also subscribe in your favorite podcatcher, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, and TuneIn Radio. Or better yet, go to our website intouchwithios.com, where all the links to listen are there at the top of the page. I'm Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Twitter @DaveG65. And again, Chuck, thanks for joining me this week.
Thank you, David. It was fun. Hope we do it again.
We're definitely going to do it again. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.